Hello, this is Martin Daubney from Inspire Coaching, based in Basel, Switzerland. I'm here today talking to a former colleague and now friend, Robin Hills, who's Managing Director of Emotional Intelligence for Change, EI for Change. Hi Robin, how are you doing?
Hi Martin, I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, all good over here, thank you. Robin's based in the UK and I was talking today about a new book he's written on building resilience in the workplace. So, why resilience? Isn't resilience just about being tough?
Well, yes, resilience is about being tough. Resilience is often referred to as bouncing back, and that's rather an old-fashioned way of looking at resilience, and psychologists are now moving away from that. Because really, resilience is more than just bouncing back. Bouncing back is something that you've done in the past, and you're getting to a present moment where people are actually saying that you've bounced back. But if you've actually been through adverse times, you yourself are not going to feel that you've bounced anywhere. So resilience is more about having a very clear focus, knowing what your goals are, uh, understanding what the reality of the situation is, and having the creativity and the adaptability to be able to work around the situation that you find yourself in order to come up with new ideas to move towards your goals. So that's the essence behind what resilience is. And that's the reason why I wrote the book, The Authority Guide to Emotional Resilience in Business.
I was just going to bring up that title, thank you for doing that. Was there any one or any single incident, oh, nicely shown, any one or single incident that drove you to write the book? No, was there someone you were working with or some company that you were in that triggered the idea?
Not specifically, Martin. I found that in the UK, resilience was being talked about as being the new hot topic. Yeah. And there were a lot of people jumping on the bandwagon that really shouldn't be jumping on the bandwagon because they thought, oh, this is the new big shiny thing. And unfortunately, mindfulness seems to be going the same way in the UK. That's the big new hot topic. Yeah. Well, resilience and mindfulness are all components of emotional intelligence. Uh-huh. So with EI for Change being fundamentally a company based around emotional intelligence, yeah, it seemed pertinent and appropriate to write a book based on a topic that theoretically and of course practically I have a lot of experience working in the area with.
Excellent. Well, really good to hear. I have to tell you as well, based in Switzerland and having been here for some time now, we need a lot of resilience here. There's a lot of change, large companies are changing, and it's that uncertainty I think that people fear, and then their resilience may wobble. So this book will be very useful, not just in the UK for sure.
Well, most certainly, all companies are undergoing change. Indeed, you and I, when we were working back in the pharmaceutical industry together almost 20 years ago.
That's enough.
We would often hear the phrase, change is the only constant.
Yes,
well,
that's true.
That hasn't changed. And with change being the only constant, it now becomes a dynamic state in physics. So it's really interesting because the only thing that isn't changing is change.
Yeah.
So change makes up a full chapter in the book. And within the book, I have the change curve that was developed by John M. Fisher, who's a psychologist specializing in change in the business arena. And he's built upon the Elizabeth Kubler-Ross bereavement curve, which most people are very, very familiar with and apply in the business setting. It's great, it works, but bereavement is not business. Mm-hmm. And there are certain phases that people go through, and there are certain offshoots of the curve that people go through within the business setting that doesn't happen within the bereavement curve. Yeah. And that's things like denial. Yes. That's things like disillusionment, where people go and get another job. People get stuck in hostility and they become very negative, yeah, and they go into a negative spiral and stick there. Yeah. People become complacent after they've been doing a job for a number of while. After they've been doing a job for a little. Let me say that again. After they've been doing the job for a little while, and change is something they can cope with. So it's moving from complacency back into another change curve and then going through all the emotions that happen to pop out the other side, bigger and stronger and better.
Excellent. I don't know about you, but my experience with that change curve is that people seem to be, as you said, familiar with it, but don't really know the detail of it. So I'm assuming that even if you make a change deliberate to yourself, for example, going for another job, going for another company, something like that, people have to go through that change curve all over again.
Oh yes, and what happens, Martin, as I'm sure you're well aware, that I'm sorry, Martin, I had to just cough there. Can you edit that bit out?
I hope so.
Yes, indeed. When people are going through change at work, they are going through change in their family life as well. They may be changing their car, they may be redecorating, they may be going on holiday, their children may be changing schools, may be going to university, their partner may be changing jobs, they may be getting a new pet. There's change happening around us all the time, and every aspect of change, whatever it is, we go through some semblance of the change curve.
Excellent.
It's not the fact that we're going through big change. We go through the change curve in a big way. All the change curves can amplify and add up together so that people can get really down into the depths of despair and depression.
Yeah.
And at certain times may need some kind of clinical support. Yeah. But more often than not, people are able to cope with all the various bits of fundamental change that are going on around them.
Yeah, very true. Okay, so you've written the book Emotional Resilience in Business, and clearly it's applied to business. Who else would benefit from reading?
Well, I suppose anybody would benefit from reading it. It's not specifically a business book. I've titled it The Authority Guide to Emotional Resilience in Business, purely and simply because that's where I've got most of my experience of working with resilience. So it seems to be a good niche and a good market, but the hints and tips are very, very relevant to anybody going through any sort of change or stress in their current life in any way, shape or form.
Good to hear. So what's the one thing, if they didn't read it, if you could give them one top tip out of the book right now, what could they do? What would make a difference to people's lives?
I think the important tip that I would give people is just to recognise the emotions that they're going through and work with those emotions more positively. If they're feeling angry, identify it as being anger and deal with it appropriately. What is it that's making you angry? How can you use that anger in a focused way with the right person at the right time in the right way, rather than just feeling angry all the time and being angry with everybody and everything? Now, that's easier said than done, but it's something just to be thinking about. So if you can think about it and you can start to try to apply it, that's better than doing nothing.
Yeah, totally agree. So this is your first book. It must have been a steep learning curve for you. So what top tips have you got for budding authors out there about how to approach writing a book? And what might you do differently when you write your second book?
Well, the second book is almost written.
Oh, very good.
The tips that I would give to budding authors is just to give it a go. Break it down into small sections. It's the old proverbial eating of an elephant. You don't eat an elephant in one sitting. So break it down into small chunks. And I have a system whereby I will write a section of 17 lines in Arial font 11, and that will become a section of the book.
Okay.
Now, it seems very specific, and keep it specific, because if it goes to 18 lines, I need to cut something out. If it's 15 lines, great. And if it said everything that I need to, fantastic. So it's really a case of keeping it very, very focused. And I can write a couple of sections one evening and then write nothing for a couple of weeks. and I can come back to it and think, oh, I'll give it another go, write another section. And then once I've got all the sections written, I just mix and match and put them together like a jigsaw and put them in a format that works.
I see. Sounds a lot easier than I thought. So this is the authority guide to resilience in business. It's,
Emotional resilience in business.
Thank you. Let's do that again. This is the authority guide to emotional intelligence in business, written by Robin Hill. Oh, let's do that again. Emotional resilience in business, yeah?
Yeah, not emotional intelligence.
Oh, did I say intelligence? Yeah. I'm reading emotional intelligence. That's a problem. Yeah. This is the authority... No, let's do that. That was a bit of a sigh. So, this is the authority guide to emotional resilience in business, written by Robin Hills, from leading emotional intelligence expert. Will help you change the way you think about yourself and the way you approach potentially different situations. Robin, we can get this on Amazon, but where else can we get it?
You can get it on most outlets. It's available on the iTunes store. It's available on Kobo. Sorry, it's available on can I start that again? It's available, as you say, on Amazon. It's available on Kobo. It's available on Kindle. It's available in iTunes. Anywhere where you can get an electronic version of the book and buy an electronic version, you will be able to buy a copy of the book. And you should be able to order it through your local bookstore. We've actually been selling it through Waterstones in Kensington High Street in London, which really is quite pleasing because that's their flagship bookshop.
Very good. And I guess anytime soon business travellers will be able to pick it up at an airport near them.
Well, that would be wonderful if that happens, but I'm being realistically optimistic, and I'm suggesting that probably is not going to be the case. But if it happens, fantastic.
Very good, very good. And of course, if people want to know more about you, they can go to your website, which is